How's it going, everybody? So I am going to be washing some dishes, and I figured I share with you guys while I was washing some dishes some of the wisdom and knowledge that I've learned about real estate investing, about building a business, about getting over fears. That's a big one, right? Getting over fears, finding mentors, all those kind of things. So let's have a chat. And I love when you guys comment. I can read the comments, and then this way we can have a conversation, right? But let's start, right? So I wanted to share about how I needed to overcome my own fears in order to begin building my own business. Now, I just got off a phone call. Actually, I just listened to a recording of a phone call. And with the recording of the phone call, I heard where one person was asking another person about, actually, you know what? Let me tilt this a little bit so that you guys can actually watch me wash dishes while, let's see, can I do this? Here we go. No, it's terrible. This is a terrible idea. Okay, so I'm just gonna wash dishes kind of high so you guys can watch me wash dishes and I can talk about the wisdom, right? Now, I do have a dishwasher, but interestingly enough, sometimes I like washing dishes by hand because it gives me a time to think. And a lot of times we're just like back and forth and running around, and there's social media, there's text messaging, there's phone calls, there's kids running around, there's TV to watch, there's all that stuff, right? So sometimes I just choose to wash dishes by hand so that I can just think. And then when I think, all kinds of cool clarity comes about, right? So anyway, Akima, how's it going? Good, glad you can be on this live. So let's go through it, right? In order for me to have begun investing in real estate and creating businesses, I had to overcome a lot of fear. And the fear consisted of what would happen if things didn't go my way. So the big fear that I constantly hear about is that, Hone, I'm afraid to get started because what if something goes wrong? What if I fail? And to that I ask, what does failure mean? How do you fail? How could you possibly fail? What does failure look like? And so they say things like, oh, what if I lose money? Right? What if I lose money? So let me give you an example, and you tell me, is this pass or fail, or is this like success or failure? Right? So I have a real estate property, and I bought it, I fixed it up, and I now own it, and it has increased my net worth, right? So I bought it, let's just say for round numbers, I bought it for 100,000 and I fixed it for 50,000. So I'm all in for 150. Okay? Let's say we're all in for 150. And then it's worth 200,000. So my net worth is $50,000 more because I own this property, right? I bought it and fixed it up for 150, and then it's worth 200. So that $50,000 difference, that's my net worth, that's my equity, right? And so then I get a loan from the bank afterwards, I refinance out, and then I rent the property out. And so the tenant that I put in there, they're renting the property, all is good, right? All is good. And then let's just say I'm cash flowing $300 a month. Let's just say I'm cash flowing $300 a month, and when I'm cash flowing $300 a month, all is good. And then I get a call, and the tenant says, "Hey, I plugged in my air conditioner, and all the lights went out. And then and every time I turn on the air conditioner, everything flickers." And I go, "Oh man, that's terrible." So I send an electrician, right? So I send him over, right? And this is how I manage my properties. I get a text message from the tenant, and the tenant tells me the problem. And then I text a professional that I need in order to fix that problem. So it's an electrical problem. I text the electrician. The electrician goes and meets with the tenant. I say, "Hey, electrician, can you please contact the tenant and schedule a time when you can go over?" You see how I try to remove myself from the situation completely? So the electrician and the tenant, they're talking to each other. I'm out of the picture. I just own the property. That's all it is, right? So they text me, I text them, they text them. Boom, I'm gone. So later on, he comes back to me. He's like, "Hone, I went to the property. And it turns out that a lot of the house was wired incorrectly, right? A lot of the the house was wired incorrectly, and so I need to open up all these walls and I need to rewire everything, and that's gonna cost $3,000, right? That's gonna cost $3,000, and I didn't budget for that, right? I didn't budget for that. I wanted to be all in 150 and out of the deal, right? As in, I refinanced, got all my money back, boom, I'm done, right? So he hits me with a $3,000 bill. So with the $3,000 bill, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's 10 months of cash flow. That's almost a whole year. Like, I wasted a whole year because there's an electrical problem. So in your mind, if you were in my shoes, would you feel like a success or a failure? You just got hit with a $3,000 bill, which is 10 months of cash flow, right? For this guy to come rewire the house when you could have maybe rewired the house in the beginning, but the wiring was already there, and so you're like, okay, I'm good. The lights work, the outlets work, all of that works, but you never tested it with like an air conditioner or something that draws a lot of amperage. So now I get hit with the bill after the fact, after the tenant moved in, right? And they're like, oh, I plugged in my air conditioner, everything's going haywire. So would you say that is a success or a failure if you got hit with that same $3,000 bill? And you know, like that's what people are worried about. They're like, oh, what if that happens? What if that happens? It does happen, right? So I want to go through the emotions with you guys, right? So when I got hit with the bill, I'm like, okay, I got to pay this thing. Now, what is my situation? Well, because I bought correctly and because I rehabbed correctly, well, sort of correctly, I have $50,000 in equity. But because I didn't address the electricity when I first had the property, I am just addressing it now after the fact, right? So I'm addressing it now. You can't avoid certain things. So if the house had a problem, the house is going to have a problem, and you can't avoid it, right? So I could have done it beforehand, and now because I did it after the fact, it's going to cost me more. Maybe if I didn't have to open up the walls and I took care of it in the beginning, maybe it would only cost me $1,500. But because I didn't, and I'm doing it after the fact, it cost me $3,000. So now it's $3,000 out of my pocket that I am not interested in paying, but I have to because it's now a real problem. So do you feel like you're a success or a failure, right? Do you feel like a success or a failure? Well, remember, I told you guys I had $50,000 in equity. So now if I'm putting in another $3,000, now my equity is only $47,000, right? My equity is only $47,000. So are you a success or a failure, right? And so that's the thing that people are so afraid of. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Well, guess what? It's going to happen. So how you prevent like your failure is to do a better job up front, right? Do a really, really good job up front. So and what I mean by good job up front is if you buy it for $100,000, you put $50,000 into it, and you know it's worth $200,000 at the end. That's a good job. Your net worth just went up $50,000. This is how people become millionaires, right? They buy products. They buy assets. They buy assets that are more valuable than they paid. And that's the premise of my whole entire business. This is how I became, I don't want to go into that conversation, right? But this is how I became like successful. Let's put it that way. I don't like putting a number to it because people have all kinds of ideas about me, and I don't want them to have too crazy of an idea about me. But this is how I became successful, right? This is how I became successful. So I was able to buy a bunch of assets that have net worth. Now, those properties that I bought, they have problems every once in a while, but you get them handled, right? And so let's see, Shanita says, are you washing dishes and eating pizza too? I already ate the pizza, right? Rachel, excellent that you're washing dishes and teaching simultaneously. Brilliant. Thank you. Shanita says, failure equals success. It's a learning lesson to budget for miscellaneous things going forward. Yeah, absolutely. Shanita says, Rachel, is you thinking about it? Women do it all the time. Wash dishes and talking on the phone while advising their girlfriend about relationships. Yeah, that's true. Manesh says, neither. You're a learner of a valuable lesson for the future. Yeah, so there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things that you can take from that. But what I'm trying to get you guys to do And this is the wisdom that I am imparting on you guys, is that fear will drive your life, and you are going to face one of two things. It's either you're going to face the problem that you're afraid of, meaning like, oh, what if I buy a property and the plumbing goes, or electricity goes, or the HVAC goes, or this or that, right? So you're either going to face that problem, or you're going to face the problem of living life without starting a business. So whatever things you hate about your life. So I was listening to a phone call, and the woman on the phone, she was saying how she hates that fear has caused her to not ever take a chance in investing. She was like, I let this property go and that property go. She's like, I was this close. I put earnest money deposit down to buy a property, and then at the last second, I got cold feet, and I decided not to buy the property, and I lost my down payment. So she lost her down payment because of the fear. So she was willing to forego like $5,000 down payment, $10,000, whatever it was, just because she was scared. So, and now, let's say she didn't even get that far. And so a lot of you guys don't even get that far. So if you are so scared of investing that you don't even get that far, then you're just going to have to continue to deal with whatever it is that you're dealing with. So if you hate your job, if you feel like you don't have enough time, if you don't like your boss, if you don't like the things you do, if your soul is dying because you're not living your life the way you were meant to live it, like you were put on this earth for bigger things, but because you're not doing those bigger things, you just feel like you're withering away, right? So if you do not deal with the fear or the things that you're going to have to deal with as a business owner, then you're going to have to deal with the regret that you get when you're living life in that fear. Does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? I know I jumble a whole bunch of words and ideas and thoughts together, but you're going to deal with stuff. The quote that I like is, if you want an easy life, you got to work hard. And if you want a hard life, then if you want a hard life, take it easy. Take it easy. You want a hard life. If you want an easy life, then work hard. Right? It's this opposite thing. So it's just a kind of like a law, right? It's just kind of like a law. You're gonna have to deal with stuff, and if you don't deal with stuff and you just take the easy road every time, then what's gonna happen is that you're gonna have to deal with some really tough things that you don't want to deal with. Like, let's say at your job currently you don't get paid enough, and if you don't get paid enough, then you're going to have to deal with being broke. And then when your kids want something, you're going to have to deal with saying no. Or with a family member gets sick, you're going to have to deal with not being able to afford their health care. Or if your car breaks down, you're going to have to deal with taking the bus or whatever it is that comes with not having money. You're going to have to deal with that because you are too afraid to deal with your fear. Right? So becoming an entrepreneur, one of the things that I had to deal with was my own fears. So I was always afraid of, like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens, right? But the way I got over those fears is I dug deep and I tried to uncover what I was actually scared of. So what was I scared of, right? I was like, oh, I'm going to lose money. Okay, how much money and how? What specifically might happen for you to lose money? The problem when people are afraid of losing money is that they just think losing money, but they never actually go through the process of where the money might be lost. And so that's what I did. So when I was analyzing my first deal, I would ask myself, okay, where might I actually lose the money? And so one of the places is I might lose the money if I guessed what the value of the property was incorrectly. If I thought that the value of the property was $200,000 and it was actually $150,000, like, then I would lose money. Like, that would be a bad thing, right? So then I started digging into that. It's like, okay, if I think it's $200,000, why do I think it's $200,000? Okay? And so if I said, because a residential property, if I comp the property, if I do comparables with other properties, and this one's 200, this one's 200, this one's 200, this one's 200, why would mine be 150? Like, it makes no logical sense. So you see how I was able to erase that fear just because, like, it made no sense that why would mine be worth 150 if everything else was 200? So I was able to get rid of that fear, and then I just kept doing that over and over and over and over with all of the possible things that I was potentially going to feel or get affected by. that my fear was telling me. That was one of the keys. It's just to take off the lid, take off the cover, and just be like, okay, what am I really, really scared of? And 99% of the things that I was scared of never, ever, ever came true. Never came true, right? Never came true. So let's see. Comment. Rachel says, celebrate the success of purchasing the property, $50,000 equity, and be happy that you can get the $3K for the repairs. Make a note for next time and conquer on. Rachel, thank you. That was fantastic, right? So she said, look, if you bought it right, you created equity, that $50,000 equity, and now, yes, you got to pull $3,000 out of your pocket that maybe you didn't account for or whatever, so be it. And if you have the $3,000, just be very thankful that you have the $3,000 because other people may not have had that $3,000. So now, if you're in such a situation, you're like, oh my God, I'm so scared that what if that happened to me? What if my basement started to flood and I needed a French drain? Okay, cool. How much does a French drain cost? Right? And so maybe factor that into your cushion, like access to money cushion before you ever buy a deal. So if something like that happens, then you have some money to cover. Maybe have $10,000 socked away where you can always reach in there, take that $10,000 out, whether it's a $3,000 repair or $5,000, you have $10,000 set aside. So if something big like that happens, so be it. And worst case scenario, if you bought it right and you have enough equity, just sell it. If you're that scared, you can buy the property, sell it, and still make money. Still make money, right? So uncover a lot of the fears by looking deep into it. Now, the thing is, you don't know what to be afraid of. You've been taught to be afraid. That's the thing. And you know how I know you've been taught to be afraid? Because people tell you, or like when you tell them, I want to be a real estate investor, and they're like, ooh, you better be careful, that's risky. What are they doing? They're instilling fear into you. And why are they doing that? It's because that's what was instilled in them. And so they lived in fear their whole entire life. They never took any action. And because they never took any action, they just have the fear. And they have no results. They have no real world experience. Their reality is just based on fear. And they have their job, and they're going to work at their job for the rest of their life despite hating their job, despite their soul dying, despite all of the reasons why they were put on this earth. Right? Because I believe that you all have a gift inside of yourselves where if you applied this gift to the world, you would be compensated handsomely. Meaning, if you figured out your gift. So imagine Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, let's say if he played it cool and he became an accountant. And he wasn't even a good accountant. He was just an okay accountant. And he was making, I don't know, $50,000, $75,000 a year. Like, all because when he said that he wanted to be a basketball player, people were like, what? You're crazy. Don't do that. Are you kidding me? Like, no, you don't do that. But you see how when he shared his gift of basketball to the world, he made millions, 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 and billions of dollars, right? You see that? Like, so you all have a gift, and if you share your gift, if you can figure out what your gift is and you can share that with the world, then all of a sudden you can get paid a million times more than whatever somebody else thinks of your value, like your employer. So your employer not knowing what your gift is and you not exercising your gift to the fullest, then you're gonna have to deal with that. And I hate that because I want you guys to succeed. I think you guys have bigger and better to offer to the world. It's just that when your fears are so loud, you can't get over that. You can't get over that. So I'd love to hear if you guys in the comments, what fears do you deal with? What fears do you deal with? How do you go out into the world, or what is keeping you from going out into the world and doing bigger things, better things, right? Because this is you only get one shot at this life. You only get one shot at this life. But if you live in fear, you kind of blow your shot. And that's the problem. So what else have I dealt with, right? What else have I dealt with? Well, when I was working my 9 to 5, I actually, you know what? Let me go back. So the other thing that I see that people do is they rely on their life, like how their life is structured, as the reason why they can't do certain things. So a lot of times I would ask people, why is it that you think you can't invest in real estate? Or why is it that you think you can't start your own business? And they will say things like, oh, because I have kids. Oh, because I have a job. Oh, because my significant other doesn't work, and so I have to work. They also say like, oh, because I was born in a poor family, I was this, that, right? And they will say all of these things. And if it wasn't for the fact that other people in the same situation or worse were able to do it, if it wasn't for that, then maybe, just maybe, your story has some legitimacy. But the fact is, other people in your situation or worse were able to figure it out, is what tells me that what you're telling me is just a story that you're believing and you're giving too much weight to. And because you give it too much weight, it controls your life in a negative way. It makes you do things or not do things that doesn't serve you. Right? Does that make sense? Like, so if you're telling me like you're too busy because you got too many kids or whatever, or your kids are crazy, like I know people who have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 kids, literally that many kids, who are doing amazing things, right? Amazing things. So the fact that you have kids has nothing to do with why you are not achieving what it is that you want. Because I know plenty of people, right? I know plenty of people who have kids, and a lot of kids, and they are kicking butt and taking names, right? So Shanita says, my fear is, am I good enough? Will the info I share with the world, will it be clear and concise? Great. Thank you for sharing that. The answer is maybe. Just because you want to be a success based on the information that you share, and you're worried, are you clear and concise? Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you're not clear and concise. So what does that mean? That just means that you have to work on your public speaking skills a little bit more. That just means maybe take a class, maybe pay for a course, maybe pay for a coach, maybe join Toastmasters, maybe study on YouTube a bunch of good speakers and see what makes them incredible. Why is it that you're so hooked when this person speaks? Maybe you got to learn the art of storytelling, right? There's an art to it. There's a science to it, actually, and a lot of books cover it, but you have to go out and find it, seek that information, and then you have to practice. Just because Michael Jordan wanted to play basketball doesn't mean that he deserves to get paid the big bucks. But he practiced, and he became really good, right? Now, he got drafted early. Because innately he had skills. But he then got cut in high school, right? He got cut in high school. And they were like, look, you got to be a better team player. You got to do this. You got to do that, and all that, right? And they were telling him. And he was just like, all right. So he changed. And he worked on himself. So people who want to be influencers, people who want to make money from speaking, from coaching, from helping, from doing stuff like this, consider what drills they need to do in order to be a better speaker. So if somebody was trying to become a basketball player, you know what they got to do. They got to practice their dribbling. They got to practice their shots. They got to practice their passing. They got to practice their defense, all of that, right? And so if somebody was like, okay, I'm going to go to practice, in your mind, you're already expecting them to dribble, to shoot, to run suicide sprints, right? And it's like, okay, cool. Now you, as an influencer, a person who's like, oh, I'm going to build a business where I'm going to teach people this and this and this and this. Okay, cool. What are your drills? What are your daily drills? How do you perform, how do you practice what you're going to perform later? Do you practice? Or do you just assume that you're good enough? And the thing is, for a lot of you guys, you're not good enough. Right out the box, you are not. Practice, though. And so when you're out there and you're sharing and you want to become this powerful orator, right? Ask somebody, hey, was that any good or am I trash? And when somebody says like, yo, you're trash, like nobody can stand how you speak, you can't hold attention, your stories don't make any sense, you jump back and forth from idea to idea, like take that and go, dang, really? Okay, cool. How do I become better? How do I work on that? What are my problems? So maybe you use too many filler words. Maybe it's like, hey, your speech was so-so and you used a lot of filler words. You sound unprofessional. I don't know. Maybe you're not cut out for this, and you got to be like, oh, damn, that was a kick right in the sweet spot. All right, what do I do to improve? Okay, maybe I got to go out there and find a mentor. Maybe I got to find somebody to listen to me and give me critical feedback, something where it may hurt, but I can work on it. And if you do that, if you put in that work, and man, you're gonna be golden if you put in the time. So right out the box, no, you're probably trash, right? You're probably trash, and your gift is a quasi gift, right? It's like coal right now. It's like coal in the stockings kind of gift. But if you refine it, if you refine this gift, then the world might actually want it, and then if the world actually wants it, you can get paid a crap ton, right? Crap ton. There are people who get paid $100,000 or $1 million just to speak for an hour in front of a crowd. Can you imagine that? Getting paid $1 million to speak for an hour? So it was said that as a speaker, you can the way you get paid for speaking is either you get paid up front, like, hey, I need you to come to my event and I want you to speak. Okay, cool. I charge $25,000. The other way is, okay, I'll come speak for free or for a low cost, but I have programs and education and software and services and all this kind of stuff. I just want to be able to present that to your audience. And so if they say, sure, whatever, you can get paid that way, right? So those are the two main ways you get paid for speaking. Now, what was I going? Oh, so in the beginning, for any speaker who gets paid for that, in the beginning, you might get paid what you normally get paid for a day. So let's say on average in your life, you get paid $200 a day. So maybe you do a speech and that speech is equivalent to 1 day's pay. Eventually you get a little better. Your sales pitch is a little better. And when you're done your speech, whether you got paid for it or you sold products on the back end, you can make 1 week's worth of pay from that. So you got $200 a day and 1 week is 7 days. That's $1,400. So maybe you can figure out how to get paid $1,400 from that one speech. Eventually you get better. $200 a day times 30 days, which is a month. What are we talking? $600? Hold on. Did I mess something up? $200 times 7. No, that's $1,400, right? $1,400. And then 200 times 30. Right, 200 times 30, $3,000, right? What is wrong with me? No, 6,000. Oi, sorry. Doing it live, it sucks, man. You know why? Because, like, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next, and then I'm also trying to do the math now, and then also I'm trying to make sure that the point gets hit home. $6,000 a month. I'm sorry, right? So then you get better, and then you give a speech where it yields you $6,000. And you're like, dang, okay, I just made a month's worth of income. I made a month's worth of income in one speech. And then eventually you make a month's worth of a year's worth of income from one speech. And so you see how you get better and better and better. And then eventually you make $1 million in a single speech. And that $1 million, I don't know how many years was that, right? I don't know, but if you're trying to create a business, just because you want to create the business doesn't mean you are any good for effect, right? Just because you want to create the business doesn't mean you're any good. So you have to work on your skills. And here's the nice thing about working on your skills. Eventually you do get good. And when you are good, you are confident. Good is confidence, right? And when you're confident, you go out there and you take more action. And what happens when you take action? You get results. Now, they're not always positive, but you get results. And when you get results, you can aim, right? You can aim. So let me explain that. Let me explain that one real quick. So let's say I took this knife and I threw it at the wall and it stuck into the wall. And I was trying to hit a dot that was on the wall. And I missed, right? And I missed by, like, let's say a foot. I was 1 foot to the right. So now, because I took action and I got a result where the knife stuck in the wall, I know that I'm 12 inches to the right. So now I can readjust 12 inches to the left and get closer to the dot. So again, when you work on yourself and your skills get better, you get confidence. And that confidence equals more action. That action equals a result, and even if it's not the ideal result, you can recalibrate yourself to take a better action next time to get a better result. Most people, because of fear, they never take the action, they never throw the knife, they never have the result, and they can never recalibrate themselves, and they can never get any better. You see how that recalibration is what leads you to massive success? So when I was saying earlier, just because you want to be paid for speaking, you might suck, right? So the question, why am I even bringing this up, is that Shanita asked the question, my fear is, am I good enough, right? Will the info I share to the world or with the world, will it be clear and concise? And the answer is maybe, maybe not. You might not. You might be total trash. But because you took the action and because you got the result, and what you got to do now is seek what those results were. Was it good? Was it bad? If you just throw the knife and never look, you can't recalibrate. If you never ask, was that any good? What could I work on, right? If you never look at where the knife landed, you don't know how to recalibrate yourself. You don't know how to improve. When Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or anybody takes a shot, right, and it misses a little bit, they know what to do. They know what to get, how to put their feet. They know how to put their hands. That's what you got to work on, right? But that's how you get massive success. You work on yourself first. You have the confidence, you take the action. The action will produce a result. That result will tell you how to recalibrate yourself. And when you recalibrate, you take better actions, which equals better results. They say practice makes perfect. It does not. It just reinforces your bad habits. Good practice makes perfect, right? So you got to practice in a way where you can get critiques and feedback so that you can be better at whatever it is that you are trying to do. So that, my friend, is how you become super, super successful. Now, in my real estate career, right? So I told you guys about how I get hit with a bill for the electrician and all that kind of stuff because of the work that what I did not do, and now I have to pay for it after the fact. So then it's like, okay, well, because of that, what did I learn? Well, maybe double check. Maybe now I know, plug in an air conditioner every time and see if it works. See if it's wired right. And this way I can avoid the headache of having to have an electrician come later. Right? But I don't know to do that unless I've experienced it and now able to recalibrate. Now I have the result of a tenant calling me because the wiring sucks, and so now I'm recalibrating, right? So that's what you got to deal with. I had the same issue with every time I didn't fix a bathroom, right? There was an existing bathroom. Somebody lived in the house already, like, oh, all is good. I'm going to save the bathroom. It's fine. Every time I did, something leaked, and it leaked through the ceiling. So now I have to cut the ceiling open, fix the plumbing issue, and then put the ceiling back up and repaint. And it's like, dang, if only I would have addressed it beforehand and not assumed that it was good, then I wouldn't have to be dealing with this. So that was my recalibration. Now I am a better investor because I keep taking these actions. And I keep getting results. And then I think, okay, how can I be better next time? And I just keep doing that, right? You guys think like I'm good at investing already. I'm still learning. I learn every day. I learn with every project I do. And I go over the game plan. Like, what happened? Wow, what could I have done so that I could be a better investor? And so that's really like how I do it, right? That's how I've gotten as good as I am. And then I take it a step further. I teach, right? I teach people what I've learned, and because I teach them what I've learned, I get to learn it twice. Right? Or actually, because I talk to hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people about real estate investing, and I'm constantly sharing different stories, old stories, new stories about other people. Like, I'm constantly learning from all of that over and over and over, even though it's the same lesson. That's how you get good, right? It's working on the fundamentals. Investing in real estate is easy. it is built. It's a bunch of fundamentals, and if you have the fundamentals, it's like nothing, right? So imagine Michael Jordan in his prime, and he has to play basketball against you. And no matter who you are, Michael Jordan will destroy you in basketball, right? You see how it's easy for him at some point? So that's why I'm saying, like, real estate investing is easy at some point when you figure out the fundamentals. Michael Jordan has the fundamentals of basketball and will dominate 99.99% of people, including people in the NBA, right? At the top of their game. So that's the thing. But most people are so scared of taking any action just because their fear is running amok. And it's just the stories you tell yourself. You don't actually have any concrete examples most of the time of like bad things actually happening. So you just listen to your stories, and the reason you listen to your stories is because you created your stories, and so of course you think you're right. Everybody thinks they're right at the end of the day. Everybody thinks like, oh, my story is right because you made it up. Why would you make it up if it was wrong? And then you live based on whatever story you tell yourself. So that my wisdom is based on the hundreds, if not thousands of conversations that I've had with those who became investors and those who did not. The similarities that I see over and over and over is that those who don't take any action and those who are just super scared live with a lot of regret. And then year after year after year after year, it just compounds. It just compounds, and they never take a step forward, and then they always come up with some kind of lame excuse, some kind of lame story of like why it wouldn't work for them. And they have to live with that life. They have to live with that settled life. It's settling, right? It's like, well, I wanted to be an investor back in 2015 and then 2016 and 17 and 18 and 19 and 20, and it just never happened. And now is not a good time. I just had a baby, I can't do it. Or I just started this new job and I can't do it. And I remember, oh, now I'm too old, I can't do it. Like, they come up with whatever story they want to come up with. And look, you can believe your story, or you can be like, you know what, that story is a lie. And I'm not going to allow it to hold me back. But a lot of people do. And so from all of the stories that I see, the thing that you think is holding you back is not actually true, because I've seen people in your same situation. Like, do you think you're the only person with kids in the world? Do you think you're the only person who grew up poor? Do you think you're the only person in the world who has bad credit? Like, of course not, right? Of course you're not. And do I know somebody with kids or bad credit, or came up with a bad family, or family, like their parents were divorced, or this or that? Like, do I know people who became entrepreneurs, real estate investors in other things, whatever, right? Became super successful despite all of those things? And the answer is yes. I know a lot of people who had that rags to riches coming up, right? I know a lot of people, and that just means that maybe your story is just the story you chose because you were actually scared, and it's not really that your situation is holding you back. It's just that you didn't sit down and take the time to figure out how to make it work despite your situation, right? If you hate, or if you realize that you're settling for the life that you have, right? If you realize that you're just settling for the life that you have, then you should do something. You should do something about it. Your life is short. Your life is shorter than you know. So if you wanna change that, you gotta be brave. You gotta be brave. You gotta put on your big boy pants, your big girl pants, and you gotta do something about it. There's a lot of resources out here. There's me telling you all kinds of stuff. I share so much free knowledge about all types of things. And yet people still do nothing. And then I have paid products. I have products that you can buy from me to learn how to do things. And you still don't buy it. And like, I don't know, you just come up with something, and I don't know why. But eventually, hey, you gotta sleep in the bed you made, as they say. You gotta sleep in it, not me. Not me at all. Like, if the life that you have is not the one you want, and you tell me a story about how you can't do this and that and whatever because of kids, because of a job, because of your time, because of your upbringing, because of this and that, you ultimately have to live with the life moving forward, not me, not me, right? I'm constantly challenging my fears and I'm constantly taking myself to the next level. So you're not stopping me. I'm pushing hard so that you guys can watch. I'm pushing hard so that you guys can see that it's possible that some kid with divorced parents who grew up in the inner city, went to public school, right? Went to public school. Like I could figure this out, and because I can figure it out, you can. Right? Dude, I don't know. Anyway, let's see some comments. So we got Shanita saying good word and absolutely and all that kind of stuff. David says, "What's up, Hone from Chicago? Too hot, too cold, too cloudy, too rainy, too sunny, etc." Yes. Too everything. I'm too old, too young, too fat, too skinny. I'm too ugly. I'm too attractive. I'm too attractive to be successful, right? People won't take me seriously. I used to think that people won't take me seriously because I look young, right? Because I look young. Or because I'm too playful. Well, guess what? I made it work anyway. Doesn't matter. I figured out how to make it work. You know how I figured out how to make it work in my situation? I showed other people how I could make them money. And then I made them money. And voila, because I make them money, they don't care what I look like. Right? They don't care what I look like. I am their new best friend. So if you can help somebody else make money, then they will gladly help you make money. So that's what I did. A lot of times I help a lot of businesses make more money. People reach out to me, different businesses reach out to me, and they're like, Hone, I'm building my business. Can you help me build my business? And they include me in their business, and I help grow their business. And because I help grow their business, I get paid. And it's great. It's great. People come to me as a consultant. They're like, Hone, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. Like, can you help me? Absolutely. And then we figure out how to cut me in on the pay. So I help them make money, and then in return, I get money. It's so cool. It is so cool that I've been able to design my life this way because I didn't know that this is how my life was going to turn out. I didn't know when I was 18 years old that I was going to be a real estate investor and then a coach and mentor and educator and consultant and business guru and blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't know. But here I am. Right? And I'm just as playful as I ever was. I'm just as goofy as I ever was. I was always the class clown in school. I didn't get good grades, right? But I've been able to, even, despite all of that, I've been able to create this life and this business with free time and passive income and equity here and there and everywhere and blah, right? So you get to be yourself, and that was the ultimate thing. That was the ultimate success story. The authenticity that I get to carry around. Like, I get to be me, and nobody can fire me for being me. Oh, he's too goofy, fire him, right? No, because you don't hire me, right? Like, you're not my boss. I'm my boss. I create the life that I want, and I can create this life as big or as small as I want. And so I get to be who I want to be. If I want to wear t-shirts like this every single day, I get to. Now, I wear button-up shirts because I want to, not because I have to. And now, sometimes you got to play the game. If you're going somewhere nice, or you're going to meet with a banker, whatever, like, sometimes you got to play the game, and you got to wear clothes that you don't want to. So what? You wear it for a day, you wear it for a week, whatever. Who cares? Don't sweat the small stuff. But being authentic, being in a position where I don't have to depend on other people for my money, but they judge me for the value that I bring, I think is fantastic. And having that life was the ultimate payoff. Being free, being authentic, being me, allowing my soul to spread its wings as far as it can be, and just doing what it is that I want to do. And that's what I love. That's what I love about the life that I've created. That I get to recreate and redefine who I am and what I do every single day, forever and ever, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Super powerful, super big payoff. It's better than, I don't know, it's like the ultimate. It's the ultimate. So what am I saying? It's worth it. Conquering your fears and going after what it is that you actually want in this life is worth it. So go for it, because otherwise the thing that you have to fear is massive, massive, massive regret and having a life that you don't actually want, where you're settling for low pay, cheap food, poor living conditions. Just, you got to settle for that. I think it's worth conquering your fears so that you can have what you want, right? It's worth it. And then what's really cool, on top of all that, if the money and the freedom and the authenticity wasn't good enough, if that wasn't good enough, if you become super successful and you've like gone through the journey and you've gotten kicked around and you grew and you found courage and you have a new mindset and all that stuff, right? If you figured all that out and you became super successful, the icing on the cake is being able to help another person do the same. Then you get fulfillment. That fulfillment is incredible. As human beings, that's one of the things that really lights us up, right? Why is it that during the holidays, people enjoy giving gifts as much or more than receiving the gift? Why is it that we enjoy giving gifts? Why? Because there's a fulfillment that happens when the other person receiving the gift gets lit up. So now imagine that you're able to give the gift of financial freedom to other people. Imagine if you got to give them the gift of this mental clarity and with this awareness of how to get over their fears so that they can go achieve something greater. Like, those things are super fulfilling. And imagine being able to give that over and over and over and over and over, forever and ever and ever. And then you have all of these people who are like, oh my gosh, you've changed my life. That's amazing. And then they you're in a great place in their hearts and in their minds. That's a great thing. So success gets you all of that. So it is worth it, guys. It is absolutely worth it. So please, if you guys want to talk, message me and tell me about the fears that you need help conquering. Tell me about how you're stuck wherever you are. Tell me about what you do day to day. Tell me about the things you hate about your life. Tell me about the life you want to live. Tell me all that stuff, right? Tell me that. I'm interested. I'm interested in hearing about it. And let's see if we can help you become successful. It's super, super worth it. All right, guys. That is me washing dishes. I have no more dishes. I washed everything. I even washed the cup that I was going to reuse to drink water just so that I can be on this live a little longer. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing this. It was a lot of fun. And I hope that you get some value out of this. So if you did, share it with a friend, share it on your page, share it, whatever. And I will talk to you next time. See ya.